It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Welcome to the program. It's the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, also live streaming on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, over on Rumble. You can check us out in all of those places. Would love for you to do so this afternoon. Always nice to look up there and see how many people are actually following the stream. We appreciate that. It is Friday. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, including how the Biden administration, they never seem to want to take a break from doing away with your rights, from doing away with things that make you happy. I mean, it really does seem like that's their everyday goal, right? Well, listen to this. The Biden regime now wants to restrict the rights of American citizens to hunt and fish. That's right. In 2021, the Center for Biological Diversity, an influential environmental group, this is an NGO, a non-government organization, and they've got a bunch of cash. They got about $40 million, and they advocate for stringent federal wildlife restrictions and protections. Well, they sued the federal government over a Trump administration rule expanding hunting and fishing on the 2.3 million acres across 147 wildlife refuges and national fish hatcheries. So instead of defending the rule, the Biden administration has now asked the court to delay proceedings in the case, and they're agreeing to a settlement with the Center for Biological Diversity that had stipulated that the government would take wide-ranging steps to protect wildlife harmed by expanded hunting and fishing on national wildlife refuges. Under the settlement, the Federal Fish and Wildlife Services promised to expand lead ammunition prohibitions across various federal refuge properties starting in 2026 as a part of the 2023-2024 annual rule expected to be proposed in May. Well, the Fish and Wildlife Services is now getting ready to act. In addition to banning lead ammunition, fish and fishing tackle, and the equipment used by anglers while fishing, those things will also be banned as well. Todd Adkins, the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Sportsman Alliance, a pro-hunting group, explained that this is actually, it's a ban. He says, raising the cost of hunting, raising the cost of fishing, and raising the cost of our crowd doing their thing is objective number one, without a doubt, because they know if you make it more expensive, less people will do it. And they're absolutely right. And they want to do the same thing with firearms. They want to do the same thing with ammunition of all types. So now they want to go after the hunters and the fishers. But let me ask you, do you know any really good liberals that go out there and hunt and fish? Do you know any good liberals? What do you think? You think some of these fishermen you see on television, you think those are real big Biden fans? No, not at all. You think some of the folks that go out there to the Clinton house and hunt out there at that property, you think those are primarily Biden voters? No, of course not. They are conservatives. This is a hobby. This is a pastime that conservatives enjoy. And that's what it's all about. They just want, notice they're not doing anything that really affects what liberals like to do. Now, what that is, I don't know. I have no idea what hobbies good liberal guys want to do. Maybe they want to sit around and I don't know. I have no idea. Quilt, maybe. I don't know. Complain, probably.
Judge people.
Watch CNN. Absolutely. All of those things. Yeah, that's exactly what they want to do. But they're trying to take away the hobbies of conservatives. That's their goal. So, hey, Charlie, they're just following the model that California did several years ago. They came up with a model that said California condor is almost extinct because of lead ammunition, because they eat animals that have been shot that are never found. They got this ban on lead ammunition. As soon as the ban was in place, suddenly California condors fly about 10 times further than they did in history. Yeah, right. Hey, Charlie, your signal is a lot better in Newberry and Jonesville. I am so glad to hear that. Love Newberry, by the way. If you've never taken a trip to Newberry and gone to the Opera House, oh, what a magnificent experience. Hey, Charlie, the government wants to limit our food. They want to create a famine. If we can get our own food, there will be less famine. You're absolutely right. You're right. Anything that makes you more self-sufficient, anything that makes you less dependent on the government, they're trying to do away with. Get away with it completely. Right? Charlie, oh, hell no. We'll keep hunting and fishing. It's not a hobby. It's a way of life for us. I understand that completely. I mean, I grew up fishing primarily, not so much hunting. We were big fishermen in my family. But there you go. Hey, Charlie, liberal hobbies, burning things and beating up women and old people. That's probably what the liberals love to do. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what they like to do. So anything. You know what they're going to, I'm going to guarantee you something. If they haven't already, and they're kind of sort of trying to do this, but I predict they are going to try to make it illegal for you to change your own oil. I predict that's coming. I really do. I predict it's going to be illegal for you to replace your fan belt. It's going to be basically car maintenance is going to be illegal. And how are they going to do this? That was good. Well, it's for the economy. I'm sorry, it's for the environment. Because you see, when you use that oil pan that you got at AutoZone and you empty your oil into there, well, you probably making too much of a mess and you don't dispose of it correctly. So therefore, it's going to be, listen, they're going to do it. You're not going to be able to change your own brakes. You're not going to be able to do anything on your car. That is, at least until we can get everybody into a good electric vehicle, which I don't know what you do with those things. I really don't. Has anybody ever, does a Tesla come with a jack? That's a good question. Is there anything on a Tesla that you can actually maintain yourself? I don't know. I do not know. And that's a legit question. Any of you guys out there that know anything about electric vehicles, let me know. Do they have jacks? Do they come with a repair manual? I really don't know. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
planning.
Be a part of the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Yeah, sing it today. Do we really want to live in the world that the liberals want to have? Just think about what that world is going to be like. Oh, my goodness. Voluntarily wanting socialism? Voluntarily wanting communism? Voluntarily wanting the food supply limited? Voluntarily turning everything over to the government? Whoa! That is a scary, scary thought, isn't it? The world in which they want to live is no kind of a world that we want. That's that. Oh my gosh! Just think about that for a second. Men in women's bathrooms, men competing against women, no hunting, no fishing. We're going to eat bugs. We're going to, there'll be no gender or all genders. I don't know which one they want to do. It doesn't matter. We'll be separated by race and everything they do, because that is exactly what they want to do. I told you a story yesterday. There was a article written in one of the major medical journals that said that we should teach black medical school students and white medical school students separately. So now this is segregation. This is exactly what the left wants. Isn't it weird how they always go back to what they want? I mean, they were big segregationists in the past, and now they're big segregationists again. So, in other words, they have not changed one little bit, have they? No. I mean, since they came up with the Ku Klux Klan, they've been doing this stuff. So they want to separate us now. After all of that time that we spent trying to get together and not see color and anything like that, now they want to go, no, that's not working out. You guys are getting too cozy with each other. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to separate the black medical school students. Y'all are going to go over there. You white kids, y'all are going to go over there, and we're not going to let you meet. Separate yourselves. Voluntary segregation. That's the world they want us to live in. Right. Charlie, yes, it worked well for the USSR, didn't it, though? It worked, fantastic for the USSR. In fact, it's worked so well for every country that has gone with the model of communism. It never works. But by golly, these are the smart ones now. No, we're much smarter than those people who came before us, so we know how to do this, as they beat their chest. We know how to do this. We're smarter. We'll get communism and socialism right this time. Unfortunately, they're still the ones that want us to pay for their college education.
You got a caller.
Unbelievable. Let's go to Oyster Man in Traveler's Rest. How you doing, Oyster Man?
I am doing better than a bird that was in the wind yesterday and didn't have to flap his wings.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, what's up?
Oh, I just wanted to kind of touch base with you about, them wanting to cut back on fishing and hunting and all that good stuff.
Uh-huh.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, I know canes are not weapons of mass destruction. I've already verified all that.
Right.
You can only hit one person with a cane if they attack you. But
that's right.
You might bounce off of them and hit somebody else.
Collateral damage. Yeah, exactly.
Collateral damage. Yeah. So, okay, if they're going to take away fishing poles, line, whatever. You remember back in the day when you could get an old cane pole, and put a bootstrap or shoelace on it, and then put a little bait on it and go fishing.
Yeah.
Okay. Then didn't the Indians used to use what do they call arrows?
That's right. Yeah.
They used arrows, so you could do that. And also, I learned from a young fellow who was out dropping dynamite down in the lake and catching the fish as they came up.
That's right.
And and all of that. So what are we worrying about? I mean, we, the old people, can actually figure out another way of doing it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there's always a way.
There's always a way.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Oyster Man. Thank you very much. Do you remember? You guys might not remember, and I barely remember, but you've seen them on television. The old time telephones, the old ones where you had to crank it, and that would send the spark down the line, and it would ring on the other end. You remember those, or also the dynamite blasters. You know, the ones that had the little T handle on them, and you push the plunger down, and it would spin a magneto there, and it would send an electric signal down the line, and it would blow up the dynamite. People use those for fishing. Well, fishing. I'm using air quotes for fishing there. They'd put the wires in the water, and then they would crank the generator on those old phones, and they would stun the fish, and the fish would float to the top. So there you go. I don't know. Oyster Man made me think of that. Hey, Charlie, the final separation will be a national divorce. Do you think it's time? I mean, I think it could be getting time to the national divorce. That's right. Hey, Charlie, Teslas do not, we asked this question a few minutes ago. Teslas do not come with jacks. In fact, most new cars don't even come with spare tires. And I guess that's because they run off those no flat tire things. Probably so. Let's see. Charlie, another question. Can you use booster cables on an electric vehicle? I doubt it.
You got another call?
I doubt you would be able to do that. I don't know. Yeah, someone's going to have to let me know. Maybe Gavin will know. We'll go to Gavin in Landrum and talk to him. Gavin, how are you, bud?
Doing well, Charlie. How about you?
Fantastic. What's up?
I'm not sure about the booster cables. Is that like a jumper cable type deal? Or
Yeah.
I doubt that. An electric battery that large would require a while to charge. I mean, you theoretically could do that, but you'd have to stay there for quite some time before it got enough charge to get somewhere.
Oh, I'm
it's
sure.
Not like starting it.
I'm sure, yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to call about you were saying that it's going to be illegal to get like an oil pan or a fan belt or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you may be on something there, because I went to the grocery store a couple weeks ago and looked in the magazine section,
mm-hmm.
and they had a whole bunch of magazines on switching your engine out in your classic car to an electric system.
What? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, like taking Mustangs and Camaros and stuff and putting electric powertrains in them.
How would that even work?
It's pretty simple. You take the engine out and the drivetrain and everything, and then you put the batteries in where the engine was, and then hook that to a new transmission and all that. It's like a resto mod, but with an electric motor.
Huh. That's, you know what? I'm going to have to start thumbing through some magazines at the grocery store to see if I can find an article like that. Gavin, I appreciate you calling in, but I guess the original question was, well, the statement was that they're going to try to make it illegal for you to do your own car maintenance. I mean, if you want to flush your radiator or anything like that, that's going to be no, you cannot do that. You want to change your oil? No. Fan belt? None of that. None of that. Because they want you in electric vehicles. So, and my question was, how much maintenance do you actually do on an electric vehicle? I have no idea. Hey, Charlie, hearing you loud and clear from the big city of Ward, South Carolina. Great show. I appreciate it. 724. Word loud and clear in Lenore, North Carolina. Thank you, 547. We appreciate that. We got some folks tuning in Matthews, North Carolina. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Let's do a little roll call today. You guys tell me where you're tuning in from this afternoon, because we are loving this giant signal that we have here at News Talk 98.9 WORD, and we appreciate everybody tuning in. Charlie, our Nissan Leaf had connections to do a jump start. You would do it with the car in the off position. That's interesting. Charlie, we're eating catfish fillets from Santee and alligator from last season. Never give in to tyranny. Good for you. Let's see. Charlie, I think an EV can charge your on an EV you can change your blinker fluid at most 8 times, probably right before you have to get the whole new blinker fluid pump replaced. Boy, those things are expensive. You get your blinker fluid pump goes out. Oh, what a mess that is. Rutherfordton, North Carolina, checking in this afternoon. We appreciate you. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas and beyond.
Let your voice be heard. Call the GS Plumbing Talk Line now. 800-509-8989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Waterloo, South Carolina, checking in this afternoon. Roebuck, South Carolina. Commerce, Georgia, checking in. Of course, Gerald is always standing by in Cowpens. We appreciate that. Right now, let's go to Phil in Central and talk to him about electric vehicles. Phil, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Thank you for the GS Plumbing Talk Line. And I want to say I work on vehicles for a living.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hook up any sort of anything to the batteries on electric vehicles. They're sealed.
Okay.
And a lot of auto manufacturers now are sealing everything up. I'm not an actual mechanic. I do lubrication and everything.
Right.
So what they're doing is they make it so if we touch anything on the vehicle that's not open, it voids the warranty on the vehicle.
Right. So let me, what maintenance does an electric vehicle require?
Honestly, it's batteries, brakes, and that's pretty much it.
What about, I mean, do you, I don't know, do you have to grease them?
No. Car manufacturers have sealed all that stuff up.
Yeah, everything's sealed. Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy. Oh man. Well, Phil, I appreciate you calling in this afternoon. Thank you. I have no idea. I know nothing about an electric vehicle. My buddy Pat Hatch has got one. That's about the only person that I really know. We got some neighbors, got some down the street, but I have no idea about what these things do. Absolutely no idea. And of course, we're talking about how they will, because they're already looking at a way of, minimalizing your ability to hunt and fish on federal property, which, by the way, the federal government is really not supposed to own property. I don't know if anybody realizes that. The only thing the Constitution does is it gives the federal government the right to own a little bit of land in Washington, D.C. Everything else was supposed to be the property of the states, but they overstepped their bounds years ago. I think Roosevelt was one of the maybe Teddy Roosevelt was the one that did that. But anyway, they want to limit your ability to hunt and fish. And I just took that to the next step and said, listen, they're going to take away all of your hobbies, everything that you enjoy doing. They're going to try to do away with, including working on your own car. And listen to this. This is an interesting story. This is 649 on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line, 71307. It says, Charlie, I signed a petition at a Napa store in the early 90s during the Clinton administration. They were trying to pass a law so that only licensed mechanics could purchase parts. No more do-it-yourselfers or someone making an extra dollar doing brake jobs and tune-ups. This is around the time that they were doing away with the R12 Freon, basically to tax the underground economy. Well, listen, they're long-suffering. Their plans, just because they have one today, they're not going to go away for a decade or two. They're going to stick with them. And that's exactly what they want to do. All for the sake of the environment. It's for the environment. Charlie, in regards to all this liberal so-called elitist agenda, such as banning hunting and fishing and electric cars, I'm like the Marlboro man. I would rather fight than switch. They can go pound sand. I won't comply. I agree with you there. Hey, Charlie, just think of all the auto parts stores that they could close down. You're right. Does the auto store industry have a lobbyist? If not, they need one. Charlie, WORD may have to bring back Saturday morning shows where you would call in for car repair tips. Remember those? Oh, those were great. About the only thing that NPR ever did that was worth a darn was Click and Clack, the car guys. And that was it. But you remember the old swap shops? Where you would call in and you would sell things on the air on the radio. It's crazy. Yeah, I got a bumper for a 72 Buick that I'd like to get rid of. And somebody call in, is that a 4-bolt or a 6-bolt bumper for that 72? Oh, it's a 4-bolt. Yeah. Things have changed, haven't they? All right, the GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. The Common Sense Retirement Planning text line, 71307. But it's just another great example of how of the world that the liberals want us to live in. What exactly that looks like. And it's not some sort of nirvana. It's actually a dystopian nightmare. You know, when we think about flying cars and we think about the future and we think about the Jetsons, that looks pretty cool, but that's not the reality. The reality is, and this person is right, if you want to know what their goal is, just read George Orwell's 1984. You're right about that. However, I believe 1984 actually happened a couple of years ago. I think we're well beyond 1984 right now. I mean, look at the way they are spying on us with everything that we do. Everything. All of this technology is great, but it also gives the government an unbelievable amount of power. And when you give the government an unbelievable amount of power, what do? First of all, they abuse it, and then they want more. And they want more. They're not going to be happy until they get central bank digital currency, and therefore they control everything that you purchase. Everything. Somebody in the neighborhood, they're having a lemonade stand. They're going to be selling lemonade and cookies tomorrow. If the liberals have their way, you will not be able to go and give cash to those children for that lemonade stand. No. You're going to have whatever device you have or whatever, you're going to have to pay for it like that. Then those kids are going to get a bill from the IRS going, hey, little Sally, how you doing over here? Hey, I saw you made $18 that weekend. That's pretty good. You're going to owe us some money there. You're going to owe us? Yeah. That's just what they want. Just what they want. We're so far beyond 1984. The liberals looked at 1984 not as a warning, but as a guidebook, as a list of suggestions. And they're trying to implement everything about it right now. Oh, unbelievable. Really is. It's just crazy. Charlie, I want to wish you a safe and happy trip to Ireland. I wish you would broadcast your show from there, but that's just me being selfish because I enjoy your show. Well, I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. We will be in Scotland and Ireland. And Tim, oh my goodness, 24 hours from now, we'll be leaving.
Oh, goodness.
24 hours from now. We're going to leave about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
You guys must be so excited.
Oh, yeah, very much. We got a lot to do between now and then.
Oh, I'm sure.
Before we get on. I've never flown United before.
I've never flown, period.
But that's not. Well, when we get back, I'm going to tell you about a plane that was delayed for 3 hours. And you won't believe why. We'll have that covered up next. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
71307 on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
Welcome to the Charlie James Show,
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, I want to thank the folks over there at Bright Blaze Studio. They sent me a birthday present, man, and they said it was going to be one of a kind, and by golly, it is one of a kind. It's a hat, and it's got like my name on the front, and it says "Truly a rare breed, C.H. James since 1964." Thank you so much. That was so cool. You folks there at Bright Blaze Studio, that is just absolutely phenomenal. I do appreciate that. Also, thank you to all the folks that are weighing in this afternoon. Because I'm going to Scotland and Ireland. That's going to be happy. It's going to be great. Charlie, forgot to tell you happy travels. Have a great trip. You will be missed. Thank you, Roger. Wishing you a safe trip. Hope it turns out to be extra special. Going to miss you while you're gone. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. But going on to get on the plane tomorrow and heading off to Scotland. Hopefully I'll be playing the old course there. But listen to this. There was a plane that was grounded for 3 hours. 3 hours. Tim, can you tell me, just take a guess, why was this plane grounded?
Engine problems?
Not engine problems. No, that's a good guess. What's your next guess? No, let me just say something. It's animal oriented.
Deers crossing the runway?
Another good guess, but not right. Not right. Had nothing to do with the runway. Had to do with the plane itself. An animal issue.
Somebody's dog got loose on the plane.
Another good guess.
Okay.
But not it.
Was that close?
No.
Oh.
Bees.
Oh, God.
It was bees.
Good reason.
It was bees. And listen to this. It's nuts. Bees, there was a Delta flight delayed 3 hours on Wednesday because there were bees on the wings. And they could not get these things to get off the plane. So a Delta flight from Houston to Atlanta was delayed for 3 hours on Wednesday because there were bees on the tip of one of the wings. Now, this was a huge swarm of bees. We're not talking about a couple of bees. We're talking about a lot of bees on this plane. Don't know why they were there, but Delta would not allow people to board the plane until the bees were gone. Well, there is a passenger named Angeli. She live tweeted the situation from the terminal. She started off by suggesting that the bees might fly away themselves when the plane took off, but apparently Delta did not agree. So here's her blow by blow. Number one, gate agent says they're bringing in a beekeeper. 2, beekeeper cancels. They're not allowed to touch airplanes. 3, they're going to call in the pest control. Sadly, the bees may be killed, ? 4, the bees will be spared. Pest control cannot spray airplanes. 5, captain says they're looking for a hose to spray them off, but can't find one. They can't find a hose at an airport. I got at least 4 at my house right now.
Well, don't they use hose to like fill like the plane with gas?
Yeah, but that's got gas in it.
Well, whatever works.
Well, you don't. That's the last thing you want to be just spraying the wings with the gas.
Hey, man, I hate bees.
So,
I will do anything to get rid of a bee.
Okay. So the captain says they're looking for a hose to spray them off, but they can't find one. Captain says the fire department can't come and they don't know why. Number 7, the gate agent announces they don't have another bee-free plane to substitute. Number 8, ground crew tries to blow exhaust from a vehicle onto the wingtip. Bees were not impressed. Angeli says, wish you could hear people on their phones trying to explain why our flight was delayed. Okay. Here's what they said. This is number 10. Flight crew leaves. Delta seems to be throwing in the towel and gives the gate to another flight, meaning that passengers will be stuck now. Guess what? Guess what happened?
What's that?
They turned the plane on to move it to another gate, and the bees flew away. That's all
Stupid
they had to do.
bees.
The whole time, all they had to do was turn the plane on and the bees would have left.
What kind of bees were they?
I don't know.
Oh
I have
man,
no idea. Probably like
Because-
honeybees or something.
maybe they were hornets. That would be terrible.
Bleh. I don't know. But it was just like 3 hours. And there's some pictures of it, but none of them are really, really clear. But by golly, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's a lot of bees that were on this plane.
Dude, I would have been freaking out.
As we say, buku bees were there. I mean, it was covering the whole wing. Not the whole wing, but the wing tip. So
That would be enough to seal the deal for me to never get on a plane.
Tim would be like, "That's it, I'm done."
Especially if that was my first flight.
no.
I'd be like, nope, no more.
If your first flight was canceled because it had bees on it, you'd have thought, "Wait a minute,
It's a sign.
if bees can ground a flight, what can other things do?" Right?
I would just take it as a sign. God doesn't want me to
that,
fly
don't
on
want to
planes.
fly. No, fate have wanted me to fly. Don't give me wings.
That's
Charlie,
right.
the bees probably didn't like the vibration of the plane. You're probably right. Charlie, they were honeybees. A shop vac would have worked well, but they couldn't locate an actual bee vac. It would have injured the bees, so be it. So pretty interesting. Charlie, honeybees contribute to food production. I know that. Yes, they do. Charlie, I wish I was close enough to get them. Best colony I ever had was a swarm I captured. My goodness. And remember when we were talking about keeping bees and how expensive that little hobby is?
Oh, I know.
Holy mackerel.
It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, kudos to you if you do it, though. I mean, that's
anybody
pretty
that does it, God bless you. That's fantastic. But
beekeeping.
You
wouldn't catch me with a beekeeper suit on.
Why not? That would be cool.
Dude, I'm like this with bees. Like, y'all do your thing over there.
I'm gonna be way over here.
Stay away from me.
I tried to get a bee house for the yard so we could get some pollinators in. But my wife was worried about the dogs getting stung. But from what I understood, the bees that these houses would have attracted, they're not really the aggressive type. They don't sting unless you actually mess with them. But hey, we know our.
Well, that's most bees, really.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
That's why I don't mess with them.
So, Charlie, they're honeybees. They won't abandon their queen. Move the queen, and the bees will follow her. You're exactly right. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hogback Mountain.
We're covering the Carolinas like never before with 100,000 watts of power. It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Let's go to the GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. We'll talk to Stephen in Greenville about electric vehicles. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing well. Good Friday afternoon, Charlie.
You too. Electric. Let me ask something. I mean, do you own an electric vehicle?
I do not.
Do you know if they require maintenance?
Well, they do. Typically, when the battery gets to about 70-80% efficiency, then they swap out the battery. As far as the car itself, because it's not an internal combustion engine,
Right.
it's considerably less maintenance. I mean, it's just an electric motor, some 2, some 4,
Sure.
depending on, the hybrid or, whatever. But it considerably less maintenance because, hardly any fluids.
Right. Well, I was just kind of wondering maybe, if you have to grease the axles or something like that, but a caller before it said all of that was closed, right?
Yeah, pretty much all cars now. They're all steel packed. So if you had to change a wheel bearing, I mean, you can't grease them like, when we were growing up.
Yeah.
You've got to, they're just steel pack, and you only replace them when you run into one of our awesome potholes and need a new bearing.
Yeah, that's true. So you said you have to replace the batteries when they're 80% efficiency?
Well, that depends on the manufacturer right now.
Yeah.
That's, like the projects we're working on right now, we're looking into one with like Stellantis and BMW and Panasonic are getting together for a battery manufacturing plant.
Mm-hmm.
And the direction that this is going is, like right now, everybody's got their own battery. And like the guy said, they're sealed, but they're not sealed. I mean, you can get the thing out and get into it. And the port to charge it is really the access. There's really no reason to get into a battery.
Right.
It's in a car. But you've got, it just depends. Like what we're talking about, recharging or rebuilding, because there's a lot of plants. There's one coming here to Greenville that they're going to be doing rebuilds, recycling. And what's interesting about it, and I'm not the brainiac, I just work with these guys that are involved in all these projects, so they teach me really cool stuff. So what they're doing is, evidently, lithium, when they recycle it and they take all the other garbage and stuff that, is in a battery, the battery pack itself, the lithium that they get out is 100% reusable. It's like, when they recycle it, it's all reusable. There is no waste when it comes to lithium itself. It's the other compounds.
It's the cobalt.
I mean, lithium, the lithium itself. So people are talking about, what are we going to do with this when we're done with it? Well, we're never going to be done with it. And how much more of it is in the ground? I don't know. I don't know how many other cars we can make, but the technology is such that, I mean, they're talking about charging stations where you don't have to wait in line and plug in. You're going to pull into a service place just like you're exchanging a propane tank and go get a cup of coffee. And in 15 minutes, they're going to pop your battery and put another fully charged one in, and you're going to roll down the road, because all the manufacturers right now are working toward retrofit for everything. So, the batteries for the most part are going to be like, you'll get an A, B, C, or D size battery, depending on the size of the car. And you pop one out, you pop the other one in.
But how far down the line are they saying that technology is going to be?
Well, it depends on how much, they get held up by politics, mostly. And one thing to keep in mind with the auto manufacturers, there's technology right now that they could implement right now, but they won't. Like the 2023 model car is out, and they already have the 2027 designed and even prototypes. But they're not going to release it because they don't have the ROI. They don't have the return on investment for the 2023s.
Well, I think all automotive industries are kind of like that. I just don't see the battery technology and the technology in general being anywhere that is going to be really appealing to the mass American audience?
Well, I didn't want an electric car myself, mostly for political reasons. I boycotted it.
Yeah.
And until I started learning about it. And these guys that, like, you drive your car home and you plug it into your charger at home. Well, when you plug it in at home, your profile at home says don't do anything with it until 1 o'clock in the morning when electric is cheap. And then it charges your car at the cheapest rate because it's low volume. So you'll charge your car all the way up. You'll drive it to work. You'll use 2%, 3% to get to work. You'll plug it in at work. Why do you have to plug it in at work if you've got 97% of your battery left? And the reason is when you swipe your card after you plug it in, it reads your profile. And as soon as the electric price is the highest it'll be in the day, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon when usage is up, it sells the power out of your battery back to the electric company, puts it on your card, and you've got a program to take it all the way down to 20%.
I think that's,
and then you drive it home.
Well, I look, Stephen, I appreciate you calling in. But that's the way they're always going to sell this stuff. That's, I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, that's the same way they sold everything. I'm just not seeing it. So now they want to take. So if they can take your energy, then they can take your energy. Nobody can come into your car, at least legally, and take the gas out of your car because, hey, you know what? Gas prices just went up, so we're going to have to take a little gas out of you. I just see it being open to a whole lot of corruption, especially when you do talk about the lithium. And I don't believe that we have got enough lithium right now in the United States to power every single car that they're looking at manufacturing. So we're gonna have to get it from somewhere else. And we're not going to get it from the United States because Deb Haaland at the Department of the Interior, she's saying, no, there's going to be no mining of rare earth minerals here in the United States. But it's funny, she doesn't really know where rare earth minerals come from and who benefits from it. We'll tell you about that coming up next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
905-0989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Deb Haaland is the Secretary of the Interior. So basically, everything in the interior of the United States, has got to do with land use and things like that. She is in charge of. So you would think there were things that she would actually know about her job. Well, apparently there are not. Senator Josh Hawley was asking Secretary Haaland just a few questions about minerals needed for electric vehicles. Let's listen in and see how that went.
On the subject of these sweeping mandates related to electric vehicles that the Biden administration has imposed, including now for our military, the metals needed to make the lithium-ion batteries in those vehicles are, of course, lithium, nickel, graphite, and cobalt. Now, can you tell me what nation is the largest producer of refined lithium in the world?
No, I can't.
It's China. Can you tell me which nation is the largest producer of refined cobalt in the world?
No, Senator.
It's China. Do you know what nation is the largest exporter of natural graphite to the United States globally?
No, Senator.
It's China.
Okay.
So in all of these instances, these mandates, your decision to trade off our energy security in favor of a radical climate change agenda is making us more and more dependent on China. And at the same time, you are denying mining, blocking permits for mines in this country that would allow us to develop nickel and copper and cobalt. Why? Why block the development of these resources in our own nation in favor of making us dependent on China?
Senator, are you referring to the Boundary Waters?
I'm referring to the
withdrawal?
Twin Metals mine in Minnesota. I think that Senator Bross was just asking about.
Yes, near the Boundary Waters, which is an iconic place and, of course, a very valuable ecological system to many plants, animals, species.
Yeah, things like that. Anybody ever heard of Boundary Waters? Anybody? No. Nobody's ever heard of it. And I will doubt that anybody but the greenie weenies think that it's actually important. I mean, it's the same thing with the spotted owl and the horned newt or whatever it was. What was it? There's some some farmers couldn't plant on their crops because there was a frog that was living on that. It was a great scene from Yellowstone. Where they were looking to put, solar panels, right? They were going to put solar panels on a certain parcel of land in Montana. And there was a bird there called the sage grouse. And so John Dutton asked the guy, he said, do you think this is going to affect the sage grouse? They said, no, it's not going to affect the sage grouse. They said, all right, when you put these solar panels up, what are you going to do with the sage brush that is there? Oh, we're going to clear all that out. And he said, and you don't think that that's going to affect the natural habitat of the sage grouse? There's no evidence of that. The guy said, you know what scares me about you is that you're serious. You really believe this stuff. And that's exactly what they want. So they would understand this. They would rather us be completely dependent on China than mine for those minerals here in the United States. They would rather us be completely dependent on foreign oil than drill for oil and natural gas here in the United States. Anybody seeing a pattern here with the folks on the left? Anybody seeing a pattern? They want us to be completely dependent on other countries. And for the life of me, You can't make them understand that those countries really do not have our best interest at heart. Do you think China would sell us? They would sell us down the river in a heartbeat. Absolutely. I mean, OPEC's already done it. OPEC could care less about the American market anymore. They've got the Chinese market. We're not the big dogs anymore. Why? Because the greenie weenies have made us more and more dependent. This woman's an idiot. An idiot. Charlie, I guess China doesn't worry about boundary waters or whatever it is. So that's why, yeah, they could care less. They could care less. Want to hurt the ecosystem in China? Please. They will push over a forest in a heartbeat. Charlie, if I remember, John Dutton fired those people at that meeting. Wish we could fire the people in power here. Absolutely, that's what needs to happen. You're right, I do remember that. He said, all of you are fired. Every single one of you is fired. Man, that was such a, well, I would like to say it was a Donald Trump move, but it actually wasn't, because that is exactly what he should have done. His first day in office is fire every Obama holdover in the White House. Get them out. Every one of them. And hopefully, fingers crossed, he gets reelected again, and that's what he does. He just goes in and fires everybody with the stroke of a pen. Charlie, the phrase is couldn't care less. No, actually, the phrase is, the Americanized version is could care less. Don't correct the host. Charlie, Trump pointed this out. That's why they had to get rid of him. Of course. Of course it is. That's why they had to get rid of him. All of this stuff. And how much more has he pointed out? Plenty. Oh, speaking of Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson might be making an appearance together. We'll tell you about that next. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 71307.
This is the Charlie James Show
On News Talk 98.9 WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
So, Gerald says, Charlie, do you have a direct flight? If so, what time to land in Scotland? I don't know. I just have to tell you that. I have no idea. My wife is so good at travel plans. She should be a travel planner, not like a travel agent or anything like that. She wouldn't want to do that, but she should be a travel planner. But we're going to leave 4 o'clock tomorrow, and we're going to fly from here to D.C. Then we're going to take a connecting flight from D.C. to Edinburgh. We're going to rent a car. I think I'm doing this right. We're going to rent a car from Edinburgh, and we're going to drive to Fife, which is St. Andrews. We're going to stay the night in Fife. Hopefully, I will play the old course on Monday. I'm going to wait in line all night. After I play the old course on Monday, we're going to get back in the car. We're going to drive back to Edinburgh. We're going to spend a few days in Edinburgh. Then we're going to take a flight to Kinsale, which is in the southwest coast of Scotland, or of Ireland. We're going to stay there for a couple of days. Then we're going to fly back to Edinburgh. And our last night, we're staying on a decommissioned ship called the Sea Mist, which they've turned into a pretty fancy schmancy hotel. So I'm going to be, we're going to be staying there that night, and then we'll come back. And we're only going to be a couple of berths down, apparently, from the Britannia, which was Queen Elizabeth's private yacht. It's going to be a great trip. It really, really is. Oh, and I've got a couple of tea times over in Ireland as well. No. Do we really have a direct flight going to Scotland? So we're going to land at Scotland in 10:30 in the morning. Well, there you go. That's how much I know. My wife just texted me there. So, yeah. Definitely going to sleep on the plane. Definitely going to sleep on the plane. Definitely. Let's see. Charlie, didn't you say your wife was a graphic designer? If so, she has an attention to detail, and it's no surprise she's good with details. Yeah, you're exactly right. And she's a fine art painter as well. So, yeah, she is all about the details. She does a great job. But we're gonna have a great time. Lee Bright will be hosting for me on Monday. I believe I got this right as well. And then, and that's where I am with that. So, so many things there. So many things. All right, Tucker Carlson. Separated from Fox News. Everybody's wondering what the heck he's going to do next. Well, Tucker Carlson has apparently been, they're floating around some ideas of, especially with Donald Trump, skipping some of the forums that are being moderated by Fox News. How about that? So according to the Washington Post, Tucker Carlson has spoken with Donald Trump about hosting their own forum. Carlson and his team have discussed the possibilities of moderating a candidate forum outside of the traditional protocols surrounding the GOP primary debate system, according to two people familiar with the considerations. These people said the setup, as well as Carlson's availability to take on that kind of a role, given the non-compete constraints of his contract with Fox, remain unclear. But Carlson has personally expressed enthusiasm about the idea. According to people familiar with the comments, at least one major candidate, Trump, has told Carlson that he is interested. The former Fox host interest in the debate is said to stem in part from its potential to loosen the Republican National Committee's grip on the process, as well as to challenge the role traditionally played by the major television networks. He could go straight to the candidates, stream it live, and then invite the networks, but maintains control over the process. That's brilliant. Because let me ask you something. Let's say you've got a candidate forum with Brett Baer, or you have a candidate forum with Tucker Carlson. Which one are you watching? Which one are you going to be more interested in? For me, it's going to be Tucker Carlson every single time. I mean, we know how Brett Baer is over at Fox News. We know how a lot of those other folks are at Fox News. We've seen it. And what really is disconcerting to me is not a lot of folks other than Greg Gutfeld are really coming to Tucker's defense. But he is. And good for him. Good for him. Kayleigh McEnany is going to be, I think she's going to be on in that time slot next week as they are searching for somebody who is going to stop the bleeding at Fox News. 8 o'clock, they have lost 65% of their audience. 65. The 9 o'clock hour with Pawn Vanity, they've lost 60% of that audience. And the bleeding is just going on and on and on. So good for Tucker. I hope he does it. I really do. Because that's going to be what you need to watch. That's what you're going to need to watch. Charlie, 291. What an unbelievable text. Tucker Carlson for press secretary. Could you imagine? You could hear heads popping all over Washington, D.C.
Dude, that would be epic.
If Donald Trump wins the election and appoints Tucker Carlson as press secretary. I mean, it was just, oh my goodness. I will bet CNN, MSNBC, all the networks would boycott the press conferences. I'll bet they would. No, we're not sending a reporter. We're not going to send a reporter. There you go. Hey, Charlie, Fox is okay with less revenue as long as it means less truth. What I heard is that Lachlan Murdoch Rupert and Lachlan, they're trying to sell Fox. And what they might be doing is trying to actually devalue the network to get the money that they want out of it. Charlie, even as big as Gutfeld is, and his following is huge, they might try to oust him too. That wouldn't surprise me a bit. No, not at all. But look who they're not trying to oust. Look at the ones that are staying. Those are the ones that I question. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
905-0989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So Title 42 ends 6 days from now. 6 days from now, they're ending Title 42. Tim, take a guess. How many illegal aliens are waiting to storm our southern border as we speak?
Millions.
Not millions, but you're close. 700,000.
Wow.
700,000. Let me just real quick. What is the population of Greenville County? Just take a look of Greenville County. Let's see. What's the population of Greenville County? Here we go. 533,834. So you take the population of Greenville County and you add Anderson County to it. That's how many people are currently waiting to come in at our southern border. 700,000. Somebody reported today seeing 24 bus loads, and it's growing every day. 24 bus loads of what? Bus loads? What do you mean bus loads? I thought these people were walking. They were trudging every step of the way, just looking for freedom and a better life. No, hell no. This is now an enterprise in Mexico and and Central and South America. It's an enterprise. It's a business venture. Who's buying the buses? Aren't cheap. The fuel, the diesel to put in those buses, that's not cheap. It's an invasion. I mean, that's the only way you could put it. If everybody showed up at our southern border and they were all wearing the same uniform, we would be calling out the military to handle the situation. But because they're not, because they've got cell phones and Levi's and they're wearing Adidas sneakers, then it's okay. Then it's totally fine. Everything is good. But here they come. They're coming. 1 week from yesterday, Title 42 ends. And Mayorkas has got the audacity to tell us that, no, the border's not open. Yes, the border is open. It does not take a genius to look down there and you see 700,000 people waiting to cross the border. Brownsville is going to be swamped. Oh, my gosh. Forget Brownsville. That's done. That's gone. And the ones that don't remain in our border towns, well, they're coming to a town near you very, very soon, where they're going to put 700,000 people. What they're going to do? KDFW-TV in Fort Worth filed this report.
Members of Congress are urging the Biden administration to do more ahead of an expected surge of migrants at the southern border. Many asylum seekers are waiting to cross into the U.S. once the pandemic policy known as Title 42 ends next week. The president deployed 1,500 troops to help Border Patrol agents. Some lawmakers say it's not enough. Bipartisan legislation is being introduced to temporarily expel migrants after Title 42 ends. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas will address the border situation today in Brownsville. Fox News anchor Shannon Breen with Fox News Sunday joins me now. Good morning to you.
Good to see you, Brandon.
All right, let's talk about this. So far, it doesn't look as though President Biden will cancel the order to end Title 42, but at least it looks now like the U.S. is getting some help from Mexico on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Secretary Mayorkas says they are actually a good partner in this and that they've been working together. So he's been lavishing a lot of praise on them. As you know, he's down there at the border checking things out for himself. As this administration has come under a lot of criticism for the current situation, not to mention what's coming with the end of Title 42.
42 buses were seen today carrying illegal aliens north to our southern border. 42. And more will be coming tomorrow, and more will be coming every single day. That's what they're doing. Charlie, if the government says 700,000, it's more likely 1.8 million. You're probably right. Charlie, look at those 700,000 new Democrat voters just in time for 2024, yet the Dems will still defraud the election. Of course they are. Charlie, I read an Arizona newspaper that said they have 660,000 and Brownsville has 700,000 illegals waiting. They will come to South Carolina. Of course they will. At least a portion of them will. And Mayorkas not doing a thing about it. Nothing. He wants, he says he talks a good game. He doesn't even talk a good game. Let me just get you got a little cheat sheet here with how much we already spend. And these are old numbers. These numbers are already several years old. Do you know total cost of illegal immigration to taxpayers, including children of illegal aliens, here in South Carolina, $718,955. $718,000, almost $719,000 a year we spend in the state of South Carolina on illegal aliens. Okay, let's say. Now, here's what they say. And again, I don't believe these numbers. I think it's more. Total number of illegal aliens in the United States, 14,451,000. I think it's probably well in excess of 20 million. Total number of illegal aliens, including children of illegal aliens, 19,415,000. Still a lot more than that. Total cost to states. This is unbelievable. $104,481,522,000. And again, I think those numbers aren't quite high enough. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
98.9
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right. Subway murder, they're calling it. There was a guy named Jordan Neely, 30 years old. He had a breakdown after his mother was murdered a few years ago. He also had a history of mental health issues and a very long rap sheet. He had autism, schizophrenia, refused to take his meds. So this homeless man that had been arrested 44 times on charges like assault and disorderly conduct, he was allegedly on the subway the other day screaming and acting in an aggressive manner when a former Marine subdued him, holding him in a chokehold for approximately 15 minutes, which led to his death. This happened on Monday. The subduer was taken into custody and released without charges. His identity has not been released, but the folks on the left, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, really want this guy's head on a platter. According to Daily Mail, Juan Alberto Vasquez, who was on the train and photographed the incident, said Neely yelled, "I don't have food. I don't have a drink. I'm fed up. I don't mind going to jail and getting life in prison. I am ready to die." Neely's death was ruled a homicide on Wednesday by the coroner. The Manhattan District Attorney is now deciding on whether or not to bring charges. Ocasio-Cortez has already branded the former Marine as a murderer, earning a rebuke from New York City Mayor Eric Adams. She's now escalating the rhetoric even further and is accusing him of conducting a public execution. That's what she says. Public execution. That according to AOC. Jordan Neely was murdered, but because Jordan Neely was houseless, remember it's not homeless anymore, it's houseless, and crying for food in a time when the city is raising rents and stripping services to militarize itself, while many in power demonize the poor, the murderer gets protected with passive headlines and no charges. It's disgusting, Ocasio-Cortez tweeted. It's appalling how so many take advantage of headlines, RE crime, for an obsolete tough-on-crime political media and budgetary gain. But when a public murder happens that reinforces existing power structures, those same forces rush to exonerate and look the other way. We shouldn't, she said. She also blasted Eric Adams' comment regarding Neely's death, saying, "This honestly feels like a new low, not being able to clearly condemn a public murder because the victim was of social status some would deem too low to care about. This last sentence is especially rich from an admin trying to cut the very services that could have helped them." Oh, okay. Adams called AOC's comments irresponsible on the incident. So what do you got? But listen, overall, it's not the Young Turks. This woman used to be on the Young Turks. Her name is Inna Vigland. She's on the Majority Report. The Majority Report now with Sam Sater. And listen to what she says. And I'll boil this down for you in just a second.
I was hit at one point sitting on the subway by a man who was having a mental health episode. He sat next to me and he was elbowing and kind of flailing around and hit me in the face and in my body. And it was jarring, right? The idea that I would want him to be hurt in any way, I just didn't want to be near him in that moment because I understood something was going on here. Every one of us who's taken public transit has had this kind of situation, something similar happen, seeing someone struggling. That doesn't mean that our fear in that instance, and I was a little scared because I was hit.
It's a problem. Like it's people that need help.
But my fear is not the primary object of like what we should be focusing on right now. It's the fact that this person is in pain. And so like the politics of dehumanization privileges the bourgeois kind of concern of people's like immediate discomfort in this narrow instance, as opposed to larger humanity and life. It's really freaking twisted.
Yeah. So for you to have the audacity to think that you should be safe on public transit That's bourgeois. Oh, you're bougie. You want to be safe on a subway? You're bougie. I don't know what's wrong with you. You're just, oh my goodness, whoa, where did you come from? The thought that you should be safe on a train or on a subway or walking down the street. That's the thought that you should be safe. Shame on you. Shame on you for that. These people are lunatics. Absolute lunatics. Hey, Charlie, is the bartender a millionaire yet? She's probably getting close to it. Hey, Charlie, leftists don't want people having the right to defend themselves. You're exactly right. They don't. They don't want you to defend. No, look what you were defending yourself from. This is the opposite of a hate crime, all right? This is a justified crime. When this guy is in the subway and he's threatening people and he's acting, the way he was acting, that he should not be held accountable for. But if you get up and you try to stop this man from injuring someone else, and you did it because you're white and he's black, then that's a hate crime. And you should go to jail for an extra long time for what you were thinking when you were protecting yourself and others from this guy. You see the hypocrisy here? You see the twisted ideology? Charlie, that woman is totally out of her mind with that silly commentary about being assaulted, and everyone should just let it ride. You're exactly. That's what she said. Just let it ride. Oh, you got somebody's in the subway committing horrible acts. Well, yeah, it's the subway. What are you supposed to be protected? What's the matter with you? We'll be right back. This is the Charlie. Oh, when we get back, Hunter Biden's got some issues again. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Welcome back to the program. Let's go to the GS Plumbing Talk Line, 800-905-0989. We'll talk to Dean in Cashville. Dean, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, not bad, Charlie. And I just wanted to chime in and say the Generator Superstore is a really nifty place. So
very cool.
There's that.
Good.
I hesitated to say anything, but this audience are so awesome people.
Yeah,
they're incredible. They're salt of the earth. That this really needs to be mentioned. And I don't think we're here in Greenville yet, and even South Carolina maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But the case on the subway and other cases such as Kyle Rittenhouse, if Kyle Rittenhouse had not had an incredibly stupid prosecutor who attempted to be pedantic to the judge, that young man might have had a much different outcome.
Yeah.
Society today, and I hate to say this, and I'm not saying it because it's not what it was. We are not living in the day when, well, everyone has to be very careful and very wise and use a lot of discretion and forethought before helping people.
Yeah.
That is sad.
It is.
That is pathetic.
Yeah.
And there will be people who suffer because of that, especially the hurting people, the people who are lower down on the social ladder. But especially in this audience, I'm thinking of my father. I'm thinking of my brother. These are good people, and they want to help people, and people should help people. But today, we all need to just pause for a moment and think, because society's sending us a real clear message, and that does not mean we shouldn't help people. It just means think twice. And I am so sorry that that has to be said. Charlie,
yeah, you're right.
You keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Dean. I appreciate it. But it is, I mean, it makes us think twice before doing anything. I mean, if you see somebody getting beaten in the street and you go, well, I need to help, you know that thing in your mind goes, what if you hurt that guy? That guy's going to lawyer up. He's going to sue your brains out. And there's going to be a prosecutor out there, a liberal prosecutor, that's going to try to throw you in jail. Even if somebody tries to attack you, you have to wonder, what are your legal recourse? That's why Matt Gaetz is actually trying to do a national stand your ground law. And good for him. Now, is it going to pass? No, it is not. Is Joe Biden going to sign it? Hell no. He's not going to sign it. But you as a citizen, you have the right to defend yourself. I know they're trying to take that right away from you. Even some of our state legislature here in South Carolina is trying to take that right away from you, claiming that it's not a constitutional right, but blah, blah, blah. We know where they stand. So how far can you go in defending yourself or others? They're going to try to turn this guy into the next George Floyd. That's what's going to happen. They're going to try to turn this guy into George Floyd. And that's really what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is right now trying to do, claiming that this was a public murder, an execution, if you will. So this could boil up over the weekend. It could be one of those cases where there are riots in New York, because that's what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others are calling for, because they want that to happen. They want to go back to the glory days of the summer of George Floyd, where buildings were being burned and CVS stores were being looted. And you had the Capitol Heights Autonomous Zone out in Portland. That's exactly what they want, because that's what they love. They love that. And wasn't it Kamala Harris who said they need to keep protesting. Keep protesting. And then Kamala Harris sets up a fund to bail people out that got arrested during the riots. She denies it, but she did. And a lot of people donated to those funds to bail out rioters. Meanwhile, if you were just in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th on that day, chances are you're on a terror list. Chances are you are. In fact, one of our air marshals, his wife is on the terror list because she was in Washington, D.C. She was nowhere near the Capitol, but she's still on that terror list. She's still there. So, hey, Charlie, is she inciting violence? Not just yet. Not just yet. Let's see. Hey, Charlie, Biden can't even stand his own ground. You're exactly right. Charlie, it's always dependent on the solicitor and the judges. You're exactly right. Charlie, my favorite law professor said, a path of good intentions is one straight to hell. You might be right. You're right. Charlie, I shouldn't be hurt because someone is mental. You're exactly right. That's right. You shouldn't be hurt. Just because somebody has a mental illness or is off their medications or something like that, you still, no matter what, you have the right to defend yourself. Charlie, I see more criminals in Democratic cities being killed in the streets. The people have had enough. I agree. I agree. Charlie, afraid to help because of fear the mob is the core of the Marxist revolution. I get you. I understand. You think twice before helping people. That's a sad state of affairs, but it's not one that we caused. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Pulse.
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but you certainly should have heard that the pandemic is over. That's right. Tim, have you heard about this? The World Health Organization is now saying that the COVID-19 pandemic is over.
Oh, wow.
It is done. The WHO said today that COVID-19 no longer qualifies as a global emergency, marking a symbolic end to the devastating coronavirus pandemic that triggered once unthinkable lockdowns, upended economies worldwide, and killed at least 7 million people worldwide. The
Thank
WHO,
God.
yeah, tell me about it. The WHO said that even though the emergency phase was over, the pandemic hasn't come to an end, noting recent spikes in cases in Southwest Asia and the Middle East and blah, 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 blah. So let me ask you something. When you think about all we went through, I mean, we forget a lot that happened. What was your worst memory? What was your worst memory of the COVID? What was it?
I would say just I had lost my primary job as soon as COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then I had to knuckle down and find another one.
Yeah. And that had to be hard.
Yeah, it was
hard.
It was really hard. We were kind of forced to move in with other family members, and
yeah,
that was hard on them and it was hard on us. And yeah, I would say that was the worst thing.
Definitely.
For me.
Definitely. What about the little thing? I mean, wearing a mask.
I refused to do that
from
the beginning.
Oh, it was horrible. But if you went anywhere, there it was, just getting the mask. This person said, 171 says, my worst memory is getting COVID. I got COVID. It's not my worst memory.
Yeah. I mean, I got it too. It wasn't, it sucked. It just, it wasn't, what I thought it was going to be.
I'll be honest with you. I've had worse flus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here.
So
I've had worse sinus infections.
Charlie, my worst memory was ever hearing the name Anthony Fauci. I agree. But do you remember every single night on the news, they had that sidebar?
Oh, yeah.
There it was. A sidebar. It was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And this person, 153, you're exactly right. One-way arrows in grocery stores.
Oh, they're still there.
Yeah,
in some
yeah.
stores.
It's like vestiges of times gone past.
My kids jump on them.
They're like, take that stupid sign. So I just, it was such a horrible time. The masks, the social distancing that was all based on BS.
And then the other people that were just at each other's throats about it all the time.
The militants about this. Sheila was in a store, trying to remember where we was. May have been Asheville, because we had friends that own a spa up in Asheville, and they were like, "Listen, place is pretty empty. You guys want to come up for the weekend?" And we were like, "Yeah." So we did that. It was really nice, and they were right. There weren't many people there, but we were walking downtown Asheville. Everybody's wearing the mask. And Sheila had her mask pulled down just below her nose.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and people were just freaking out.
Yeah, dude. That's happened to me a couple of times, too. And I was just like, dude, get away from me.
Go away.
Yeah, just get away from me. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to make me do it? I'd love to see you try.
Yeah, down in Charleston, all of the beaches shut down.
I remember that.
You couldn't go to the beach.
You couldn't go anywhere.
So then they said, okay, fine, you can go to the beach, but you can't bring a blanket or a chair. And then they were like, okay, well now you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving.
Yeah, I remember the pure ridiculousness.
It was
some
so
of those
dumb.
Rules.
It was, and they locked everything down. And I know the state didn't officially lock down, but a lot of businesses, a lot of communities locked down. You could not walk in downtown Charleston. It was illegal for you to walk in downtown Charleston even if you're by yourself without wearing a mask. Illegal. They would fine you. And remember that guy, I think it was out in California. He was stand-up paddleboarding without a mask. And they arrested him. They went in the water and they grabbed this guy and arrested him because he was paddleboarding by himself without a mask. Yeah. Hey, Charlie, I remember the real display of fear from others if I got too close. It was unreal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that too.
Charlie, the worst thing is people that are still clinging to their mask. I saw a couple of people wear a mask yesterday. I was like, what in the world is going on? That is crazy.
Yeah, I see them every once in a while.
Yeah.
The ones that are still wearing their mask when they drive their cars.
Oh, yeah. Fine. Go ahead. I know who you voted for. If I see you wearing a mask in your car, I know who you voted for.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. There you go. But it was so horrible. I mean, people were getting laid off, losing their jobs.
Yeah.
It was hideous. I got furloughed for 3 weeks.
But it led me here.
Led you here. There you go.
And
All
I mean,
of
that's
that.
the bright side of it. But.
So anyway, well, guess what? We do have some other good news. Good. Hey, Charlie, my worst memory is seeing the mini dictators arrive. Yeah, right? Right? Charlie, my best memory is McJabster fighting at the gates of hell for us. Oh, wait, he didn't. That's right. Well, Rochelle Walensky has resigned from the from the CDC. She is no longer the director of the CDC. And the reason she says is because the pandemic is over. Yeah, right. Okay. Plus, Chelsea Clinton. Somebody ought to tell her that the pandemic is over because she wants to do something that's pretty darn hideous. We'll have that coming up next. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Center for Disease Control and Prevention Director Rochelle Walensky will leave her post next month, citing in a Friday resignation letter the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, saying, "I have never been prouder of anything I've done in my professional career." Walensky, 54, wrote to President Biden informing him that her last day will be June 30th. She added that she had mixed feelings about the move, but noted that the end of the pandemic-era emergency declarations was an appropriate moment to step down. The president has yet to announce an interim director to replace the ex-Harvard Medical School infectious diseases specialist who had no experience running a government health agency when she took office. Now, let's go back and listen to a great little clip from Rochelle Walensky. Let's see what she's got to say.
The CDC vSafe app and the vSafe pregnancy registry, as well as the vaccine adverse event reporting system, we were able to follow over 35,000 pregnant people who were vaccinated.
Pregnant people.
Pregnant people experience the same side effects as others following vaccination. We were also able to follow in detail more than 3,900 pregnant women, and over 800 of whom have completed their pregnancies. Importantly, no safety concerns were observed for people vaccinated in the third trimester or safety concerns for their babies. As such, CDC recommends that pregnant people receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
Did any of you pregnant people get a vaccine? How many of you pregnant people? Well, not exactly the truth, was it, Rochelle Walensky? In fact, according to the Canadian Health Alliance, Pfizer's jab contributed to an 80% miscarriage rate. 80%. Or as Joe Biden says, EIGH. T%. 80% miscarriage. And so she got on the Zoom calls and lied to the American people practically every day, which is exactly what Fauci did. Here's what needs to happen. There needs to be a full-blown investigation into everything surrounding COVID, including these vaccines. That's right. I want to know. And remember, that whole lab leak thing, that's kind of gotten shut up here. Nobody's talking about that anymore. So everybody's saying with high confidence that this thing leaked from a lab. I believe that. Oh, it was accidentally leaked. I don't believe that. Okay? So we want to know the origins of COVID. We want to know why it was leaked, who leaked it, and then we want to take a look at the response. Because I do think you remember when all those Democrats were coming out and they were telling you, no, come on down to Chinatown. No, everything is fine. Chinatown is completely safe. Yeah, come on down and help us celebrate. You remember when they were telling you that, right? You also remember when the media was telling you that this is nothing more than the there's nothing more than the flu, right? Yeah, but this is really the seasonal flu is really, really much worse. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, let's take a listen.
People are like, I think I have the flu. Could it be the coronavirus? Overall, most people should not be terribly concerned about it. You definitely want to pay attention.
Should they panic?
No, Americans do not need to panic. What I would suggest, however, is that Americans take this as a wake-up call for seasonal flu.
Flu is a much bigger deal.
There's an important context we need to keep this in, and that is that the flu is more deadly.
Maybe this is a good opportunity to remind people of that.
Such a good reminder.
And while there's a lot of fear over this coronavirus, the flu is already widespread in the U.S. and it really is much more deadly, is it not?
Coronavirus is not going to cause a major issue in the United States. We're going to have 40 to 60,000 deaths this year in the United States from the influenza, and it's preventable.
And there are only 12 confirmed cases of coronavirus here in the state.
The risk is low. The risk, however, for the flu is through the roof.
Health warning from doctors why they say people should be more worried about the flu than the coronavirus.
Half the people in America do not get a flu shot, and the flu right now is far deadlier. So if you're freaked out at all about the coronavirus, you should be more concerned about the flu.
And they will never admit that they were wrong. They will never admit that they were wrong. And like I said, the Democrats would tell, hey, no, come on down. Come on down to Chinatown. Everything's fine. Let's celebrate. Nancy Pelosi. Let's celebrate. And then you had the masks. Remember the mask? Remember Fauci on masks?
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask.
And then all of a sudden, everybody had to wear a mask. Masks were everywhere. Oh, you had to have them to go in anywhere. I mean, hell, you had to have a ID card to get into the Peace Center. So that's the Democrats for you. That's these folks on the left. And if anybody is responsible for what happened, it's these guys. Period. Shame on them. Should there be an investigation? Yeah, absolutely. Should people go to jail? Abso-damn-lutely. Will they? No, they won't. They won't. Unfortunately, I wish they would, but I doubt it'll happen. We'll be right back. Oh, when we get back, we'll tell you what Chelsea Clinton wants to do now to your kids. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Covering the Carolinas like never before with 100,000 watts of power. It's the right talk. Charlie? Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking. News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, the pandemic is over. Rochelle Walensky is stepping down at the CDC. But there's some people who just won't let it go. One of those people is Chelsea Clinton. You remember Chelsea Clinton. Tim, you remember Chelsea, don't you? Old Chelsea Clinton. You remember her? Webb Hubbell's kid. Boy, if she doesn't look just like her old man, Webb Hubbell, I don't know who does. And the only thing scary about that is Bill actually probably thinks she's his. So anyway, old
I was
Chelsea,
about to say the same thing.
old Chelsea Clinton, there she is. She's a real beauty, you know. She's a world-class beauty. In fact, she has been on the cover of more fashion magazines than Melania Trump was on when she was First Lady of the United States. You know that? That's a true story there. That's actually not even making that up. Chelsea Clinton on fashion magazines for some reason. Well, I guess that's what happens when you marry George Soros's nephew. You got to just keep it in the family, right? Well, Chelsea Clinton, through the Clinton Health Access Initiative, along with the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, says that she wants to force jab unvaccinated children through a new initiative called the Big Catch-Up. That's right, the Big Catch-Up. It's not a Heinz thing either. This is a Chelsea Clinton thing. The Big Catch-Up will last 18 months. And according to Webb Hubbell's daughter, aims to be the largest childhood immunization effort ever. Children'sHealthDefense.org reports that Chelsea, who serves as vice chair of CHAI, last week presented the initiative at Fortune's Brainstorm Health Conference in Marina Del Rey, California. Oh, boy, I bet she was staying in a nice hotel there. One day earlier, under the auspices of World Immunization Week, the WHO introduced the Big Catch-Up, describing it as a targeted global effort to boost vaccination among children following declines driven by the COVID-19 pandemic. That's right. So according to the World Health Organization, this effort aims to reverse the declines in childhood vaccinations recorded in over 100 countries since the pandemic due to an overburdened health care system, closed clinics, and disrupted imports and exports of vials, syringes, and other medical supplies. So they're going to try to force jab your kids now. Everybody. 20 countries. They're going to force this on 20 countries. What countries are they? All of them in Africa. Africa, Asia, Central and South America, where 3/4 of the children who missed the vaccines in 2021 live. You want to know why a lot of those kids missed those vaccines? Because the parents didn't trust the damn thing. Because they were reading the VAERS data. According to Fortune, citing data from the CDC, less than 70% of children in the U.S. under age 2 were considered fully vaccinated, defined as having received a full set of shots for diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, measles, other common diseases before the vaccine era. You know, kids today get more vaccines by the time they are in grade school than folks my age did our entire lives. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. And I will bet you dollars to donuts that every one of these vaccines is going to be mRNA. Anybody want to bet that? Anybody want? Yeah. You good with that? So there's old Chelsea Clinton pushing more vaccines, as if we haven't had enough damage from these vaccines. As if. I mean, what we just had somebody die who was like 23 years old. I mean, if you just look at died suddenly, not the movie, but the actual, statistics, it's staggering. Died suddenly. All these people just dying suddenly for no reason. I'm looking at it right now. 29-year-old died suddenly. Teenager died suddenly. 15-year-old boy dies suddenly. Schoolgirl, 13, dies suddenly. Australian boy dies suddenly in his sleep. John Zamfrillo, MasterChef Australia, dies suddenly at 46. I don't know how. I mean, you could just go on and on and on. 15-year-old Australian student dies suddenly. Huh. Pretty amazing. But they're going to keep trying to push these vaccines. That's what they want. Sonia Pizarro, dead at 60. There you go. Just all kinds of people just dropping dead for no reason whatsoever. There was one coroner that said, it wasn't a coroner. No, it might have been a coroner. There's one coroner that said that this is very interesting, 8 out of 10 people that came through her unit that weren't involved in an accident, weren't involved in any sort of violence or anything like that, that died of, quote unquote, natural causes. The vast majority of them had a little Band-Aid on their shoulder. 8 out of 10 of them had a Band-Aid on their shoulder, meaning that they had recently gotten the vaccine. That was from a coroner that said that. But here's Chelsea Clinton. Now she wants to push it on everybody. Everybody. Charlie, there could be a backlash from parents in that part of the world. It'll get violent. Get out the popcorn. Yeah, you're right. Charlie, they're not talking about the COVID vaccine, but what did I just say? 144. What did I just say? The vast majority of these vaccines are going to be mRNA, right? We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Plumbing Talk Line. Now 800-509-89. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Yeah, going to Scotland tomorrow. Going to be there on Sunday morning. And you better believe I'm going to try me. Whatever little pub we go to, first thing I'm going to ask them, what is your best-selling scotch? And that's what I'm going to try. That's what I've tried to like scotch, but I just have never been able to develop that taste for it. If you, Tim, I mean, I'm a bourbon guy. I love my bourbon, but scotch, I've
had scotch one time, and that was the last time.
Now, I've had some really good scotch before.
This was supposedly really good scotch too,
So-
and it's not my thing.
And I agree. I mean, I would love for it to be my thing, but it's just not. I mean, I like my bourbon. But do you drink vodka?
Nope.
Why not? You don't drink the white party liquor?
No.
Why not?
Maybe it's because I partied a lot before,
Aha.
and
Because you have overindulged in the past.
well, yeah, but
Yeah.
not because I drank it. Just the smell of it on other people, I guess, kind of turns my stomach.
I have to be very careful with vodka because when I drink vodka, I get rich and good looking.
Yeah.
And and that is not a good, Charlie needs to stay in his lane. And when I drink vodka, I am suave, I'm debonair,
Yeah.
unbelievably handsome, and wealthy. Oh, money is no object. So I have to be really careful when I do that. But so you don't drink vodka. I've never drank Smirnoffs. I'm a Tito's guy. I like my Tito's vodka.
Smirnoffs.
But listen to yeah, right? Oh, hideous. But we know what happened to Bud Light, right?
Right.
They're now crying, literally crying in their beer for people to come back. There was
Hank Williams.
Exactly. There's a tear in my beer.
That's right.
There was somebody did a live video or a video from a baseball game the other night.
Uh-huh.
And, all the different brands have their booths there at the stadium.
Right.
Bud Light booth, completely empty. Ghost town.
Good. That's what they deserve.
Exactly. That's what they deserve. That's exactly what they deserve. And guess who now deserves it as well? Well, the Navy, because they hired a drag queen to be their face. And now Smirnoff Vodka is jumping on the bandwagon, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's right.
It's not that good anyway.
I know, right? A radical trans activist who participated in an illegal insurrection in the Texas State House this week and flashed his rear end and his genitals in front of teenage women and children is now going to be the face of Smirnoff. That's right. You heard me right. He also testified in opposition to SB 14, which is a ban against on child genital surgeries. He campaigns for children, yet his Twitter is littered with horrifying and explicit content. And this is the person that is going to be the voice or the face of Smirnoff Vodka. The only Maxine, this person is called, the only Maxine is now, good night. When are companies going to learn? When are they actually going to learn that this is the road to ruin for them? But I'll tell you, the one thing that's really come out with the whole Bud Light thing is it shows just how powerful when conservatives put their mind to it, just how powerful a force we can be in changing society. I mean, we can do this. So don't drink Smirnoff Vodka. Don't drink Bud Light. Sorry. Oh, but we're going to have to lay people off. No, you're not. I think you got plenty to cover them. Everything's fine. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to shame you now. Oh, yes, we're having to, probably going to have to look at some layoffs. Look at what you evil conservatives did. You're horrible people. Meanwhile, you've got Dylan Mulvaney out there as your face. Sorry, you get what you get. You shouldn't be mad at us. You should be mad at your employer if you lose your job because of this, because they were the ones that made this decision. Smirnoff Vodka is now making that decision as well. Charlie, isn't Smirnoff made in Kentucky? I have no idea. No idea. Hey, Charlie, Smirnoff has always been the sponsor of pride parades. Oh, really? Charlie, I had Pappy Van Winkle and I thought it was nasty. Really? That's amazing.
I've never had the privilege.
I
want to.
I tell you what, we'll play the lottery, and when we win it, we'll both go get a shot of Pappy.
Yeah, there we
How
go.
about that? Yeah. Charlie, I'm having a vodka cranberry as we speak. I hope it's not Smirnoff. Charlie, the famous grouse scotch is a normal one to start with. Try Balvenie 21 Portwood. Neither of these are peated. Oh, how about that? Peated, it's the peat in the scotch that gives it that smoky flavor. Right? 524 says, lay off the tranny. Why? Why would I want to do that? That's exactly what they want you to do. Lay off of them. Lay off of them. Quit bringing them up. Quit talking about them. That ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. Just not going to happen. I'm not going to ease up on these people. And there's nothing that you can say that is going to make me. Because, I mean, here you've got Thomas Paine. And this is a very famous quote from Thomas Paine. I want to read it to you here because it applies every single day of your life. Every day. Because I know we get tired of hearing about this stuff, and I know, blah, blah, blah. But Thomas Paine said, those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigues of supporting it. I am not in any way tired of fighting for freedom. I am in no way tired of fighting for what's right. Charlie, I mean, you mean lay off I thought you meant like lay off the tranny. I'm sorry, 524. You meant fire the tranny. That I'm for. I'm completely for that. Yeah, good. Sorry about the misinformation. But still, I love reading that quote from Thomas Paine because it's absolutely amazing. If we are to win the battle, we cannot be exhausted by the fight. We just got to keep going. We got to. And I know some days it's harder than others, but we can prevail if we do this. Just like we prevailed against Bud Light. And hopefully we'll prevail against Fox News. Now, I know they got McEnany up there, Kayleigh McEnany coming up next week. They're looking for a permanent host to replace Tucker, but I don't think that's going to happen. Victor Davis Hanson said the other night, he said, listen, people came back to Fox after Bill O'Reilly. He said, but they're not going back to Fox after Tucker Carlson. And I think he's right. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
your comment to 71307 on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
Welcome to the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
The federal government is full of bureaucracy. I mean, the absolute stupidity. If the federal government were a business, a legitimate business, they would have gone out of business a long time ago. They would have had to shut their doors because of mismanagement, because of stupid regulations, because of just absolute incompetence in running anything. So, Tim, there is a Catholic hospital in Oklahoma, and the federal government is threatening to shut them down. Now, this is a hospital that cares for the elderly, it cares for the disabled, and it cares for low-income patients. And you would think that that would be a hospital that would be really, really needed in the community, right?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, it's, hey, but they're going to try to shut them down. In fact, they said if they don't do this one thing, there's something in that hospital that they have to get rid of, or they're going to shut them down. What do you think that thing is? Catholic hospital in Oklahoma City.
The cross.
It's not the cross.
The rosary?
No, but you're getting close. Something you might not know about, but we'll see.
Yeah, some kind of Jesus statue?
No. All of those are very, very close, though. It's a candle.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't think of that.
A candle.
Wow.
That's it. And it's not even a big, giant candle. It's not a huge candle. It's a very small Eucharist candle that burns in this church.
Wow.
24 hours a day. And the government, the federal government, recently told this hospital to either blow out the candle, the small candle, or stop serving the elderly, the disabled, and the low-income patients. St. Francis Health Systems, the 12th largest hospital in the nation, keeps, with many prudent safeguards, a sacred candle always lit inside the hospital chapels, in accordance with the Catholic faith. After a hospital inspection back in February, the government said that this single candle was too dangerous and now threatens to strip the hospital of the ability to accept Medicare, Medicaid, or CHIP if it doesn't put it out.
It just goes to show you that their rule matters more to them than our health and well-being.
Yeah, or even common sense, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's the same thing they did with the pandemic.
Yeah, you're right.
And all that stuff.
You're right. Some people have contacted the Biden administration, reminding them that St. Francis has the right to religious freedom and warning federal bureaucrats to leave the candle alone. Earlier this year, the CDC, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, a federal agency under the Department of Health and Human Services, deemed one of these candles too great a threat for hospital safety, even though the candle is encased in glass and covered on top and has been approved repeatedly by the government and by the local fire marshals. St. Francis was told to put it out. If it doesn't put it out, the government's going to revoke their ability to see Medicare, Medicaid, and CHIP patients, cutting off critical health care access for thousands of people in Oklahoma. You know how long this candle, no, not this particular candle, but how long they've had a candle in that hospital?
How long?
60 years. 60 years. There has never been an incident that would cause the federal government to think this was a fire hazard. Like I said, it's encased in glass twice, topped off with a brass cap, firmly anchored to the wall. Doesn't look like a fire hazard to me.
Nope.
But it's been there for, it burns 364 days a year. How about that?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. The candle is a crucial form of worship in the most literal sense, too. It signifies the real presence of Christ in the transubstantiated host in the nearby tabernacle a firm Catholic belief. It honors and worships the Lord through its continuing burning. Only when the tabernacle is empty does the candle go out. And it's only burning during the Easter Passion prior to Easter Vigil when the Eucharist returns to the tabernacle. Well, anyway, so Catholic canon law requires the candle in the sanctuary for proper worship in the presence of Christ. It's not hurting anybody. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, they care more about what they want.
Their rules and regulations are their religion.
Mm-hmm.
And their religion is more important than yours.
Exactly.
Good night. These people, these unelected bureaucrats that run things, and they are the problem. I mean, the government's a mess. The government's a mess. But it's the unelected bureaucrats. Hey, Charlie, 1984 is no longer fiction. No, it is not. It's not. Charlie, if we put the federal government in charge of the desert, we'd run out of sand in a month. Yeah, you're right about that. Isn't that the truth, though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and remember,
They
Joe
probably
Biden
sell it to China.
and yeah, exactly. Joe Biden is supposedly a Catholic.
Supposedly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's a devout Catholic, so to speak. Charlie, it wouldn't matter whether the candle was blown out or not. It matters what's in a person's heart. But just doing it would mean the government won, and we don't obey their orders. Well, good. But it is a very important part of the Catholic faith. Charlie, it's what it symbolizes that they can't stand. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. That's it. They can't stand it. They want to remove.
They don't want you worshiping Jesus.
No.
They want you worshiping them.
Yes, exactly. All hail the great government.
Yep.
That's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They want to strip everyone of their faith. And it doesn't matter what religion you're part of. It's your faith they can't stand. Your faith in anything but them. And that is competition. And boy, they don't. And who else does that? Somebody else. Oh, yeah. Socialist and communist countries.
Mm-hmm.
They do that as well. They do that. Charlie, he's not Catholic. He's a Sino. That means Catholic in name only. I guess you can put Nancy Pelosi right up there on that list, too. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking now. 800-050-989. Save it on your phone. That's 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Cinco de Mayo from your friends south of the border, who are now mostly north of the border.
Yeah. That's right. Cinco de Mayo, ladies and gentlemen. That is today, the 5th day of May. This is the commemoration of the Battle of Puebla, who nobody in Mexico commemorates. I mean, hardly anybody cares that, that this is going on. So, Tim, I know you're probably wondering, right? Probably wondering why Cinco de Mayo is a big deal here in the United States. I know you're wondering, right?
Yeah.
Well, it just so happens, I went back, looked at some of my old stuff, and I found an old 8mm movie from when I was in grade school. Wilkerson Garden School. There I was, Augusta, Georgia, just a fine, strapping young lad. And they showed us, you remember they used to bring the films out and they show you those film reels. Mm-hmm. And I got one. I got one from grade school. And this school tells us everything you need to know about the origins of Cinco de Mayo. Let me get the old, let me just move this over here. Hold on. All right. Oh, that thing's heavy. Okay. Old 8mm film reel here. All right, let me get this thing fired. I don't even know if it works. I hope it does. Here we go. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. For some reason it doesn't want to. Well, I said it was old, right? Said this was an old thing. Let's see if we can get this thing working here. Hold on. I promise you I'll get it for you in just a second. This is a very old piece of equipment that I'm trying to work with here. So, oh, look at that. I didn't have it plugged in. I'm sorry. Did not have this thing plugged in, but
that might help.
It usually will help, right? If you do something like that. So let me see if I can get this thing. Doggone it. I can't believe that this thing just does not want to work right now. Again, it's a very old piece of equipment, but I'll have this up and running for you in just a second. But is anybody out there, you planning on getting out and celebrating tonight, Tim? You going anywhere for Cinco de Mayo?
No, but my wife is making tacos tonight. So.
Oh, how good is that?
I love tacos.
How wonderful is that? Good for you.
I'm very happy.
Get those tacos, man. Tacos are one of my favorite things of all time. Really, really fantastic. And again, they are a sandwich, remember?
Oh, yeah.
They are a sandwich. So don't forget about that. Let's see. I'm still trying to get this projector working right now. Let me see if I can get it going here. And I promise you I'm going to get this thing because it's definitely worth it. Let's think about Cinco de Mayo. Have you ever celebrated Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah. I used to, I wouldn't say I celebrated. I worked a lot of them.
Yeah.
As a DJ. So that was fun. I got to party and work at the same time.
I'll bet it was. Let's see if I get this thing going on here. Here we go.
Instructional Films presents
there we go.
Cinco de Mayo, remembering Mexico's resistance to French rule on May 5th, 1862. The holiday is virtually ignored in Mexico.
Yeah.
But thanks to slick marketing campaigns, it's a hit in the U.S. Look, there's the board of directors for the beer companies, laughing all the way to the bank. And there's Jeff, who drank too many cervezas and tried to drive home. He got pulled over by the police. Cinco de Mayo, because St. Patrick's Day was almost 2 months ago.
See, that's just all it is. Just a big, stupid marketing campaign, and we fall for it every year for some reason.
Yeah, most holidays are now.
Yeah, they are. They really are. Just another way to make a ton of money. Hey, speaking of drinks, did you see where this woman threw a drink on Matt Gaetz?
No, but I want to.
Yeah, she threw a drink on Matt Gaetz, and he is going to press charges against her. Good for him.
Yeah, he should.
I'm glad. I mean, people, again, these folks on the left, they're off their rockers. Every single one of them. Every single one. So don't forget, what's coming up next week when I'm going to be gone? Title 42 is going away. From what we're hearing, about 700,000 people at the border are ready to go or come into the United States. 700,000. Just bus after bus after bus is heading to our southern border right now. I will guarantee you that the border outside of Brownsville, Texas, is going to be bigger than Greenville County. You watch, in population, that's going to happen because 700,000 people, if you took the population of Greenville and Anderson counties, that's how many people are waiting to come in. And when they do away with Title 42, they're just going to be able to walk them right. Oh, no. Joe Biden was saying, no, we've got these agreements with these other countries, and they're going to allow us to deport people. Well, guess who has just backed out of that? Colombia. Colombia's just backed out of that. They're not accepting people from the United States that have been deported. So I don't know why that's our issue. I don't know how that's our issue, but we ought to send them back. Now remember, Kamala Harris went down to the Golden Triangle, the Northern Triangle, whatever it's called, and she was supposed to take care of this problem. But all she did is write them a check. She went down there and spent our money. Has anything changed? No, nothing has changed. We still have it's wide open, folks. I don't care what Mayorkas says. And that's not just me saying that. That is the Border Patrol Union saying that. Charlie, is the White House lawn the final destination? It should be. It should be. It should be the White House lawn, and it should be the Naval Observatory where the vice president has her residence. They should drop them off right there. They should drop them off in Martha's Vineyard. They should drop them off in the Hamptons. They should drop them off in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. Charlie, isn't this an invasion? Hell yeah, it's an invasion. And I've said it before, if all these people were wearing uniforms, there would be bullets flying. But they're not. So there's got to be a reason that the Democrats want these people in the United States. And we know what that reason is. They're going to try to give them amnesty. Hey, Charlie, I hope they love you as much as we do here in America because you're the greatest. I'll miss you. Have a great time. I appreciate that, folks. Thank you so much. I'm going to miss you dearly, and I will see you when I get back. Scotland, here I come. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. As always, we love you. God bless. Buckle up. Bye, y'all.
This